What's up everybody, my name is Darth Jaswick and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be building a old factory that has been converted into a restaurant. The build is pretty simple as far as floor plan goes. I just wanted to keep everything very open and easy for your Sims to route around, and restaurants themselves are just really glitchy anyway, so I wanted it to be very easy. I didn't want anybody to get confused while they were dining, because that can happen sometimes. I left the upstairs empty as well, just in case you wanted to add like a bed or something up there for your owner. I used a bunch of City Living windows as well as these ones from Spa Day, as well as a dine out sign just for decoration. I'm gonna end up using like a big like sign from Debug. I don't know what it is, like what it's actually like called. I don't think there's like an actual name for it, but it's like this huge sign that goes on top of the building, and I'm going to use that for the like old fish factory sign, because I'm pretending that this is like an old fish factory that got converted into a noodle company. And speaking of our menu, we have a lot of like ramen and sushi on our menu, as well as pho. I also wanted to have the chef's station like in the middle of the build. I thought that would be a really cool idea. Your Sims don't have to like walk all the way into the kitchen and grab their food. They can just like walk to the center of the restaurant and grab it. And I also put like a tiny bathroom like in the side here, and then made the kitchen a little bit bigger. I also thought it'd be fun to have a table like right by the chef station, like in front of it. So I grabbed the like bar height communal table and put it like in front of it. Fortunately, it still counts as seating. Sometimes the seats for dine out get a little confused. Like if you're using the booths, I don't think the booths actually count as seats in the game. I'm not sure why. They should really probably go through and fix that, because your Sims can sit like 4 people at that, and it should count as like one dining spot in itself. But Dine Out in and of itself is just very, very glitchy, so I don't really know what they're going to do about that unless they refresh the pack. Then I grabbed a couple of more Dine Out tables as well as some chairs from Dine Out, and just kind of put them all over there. I wanted it to be pretty uniform. I didn't really want like tons of seating, because the more seats there are, the longer it's going to take for your Sims to actually be able to eat here. I also put on a couple of lot traits, the chef's kitchen one, the homey one, and a party place one, just to make it easier for your Sims to build skills or even build relationships if you're coming here like on a date. But if you're running it, the chef's kitchen lot trait and the homey lot trait really help your cooking skill as well as your mixology skill. So I also wanted there to be a waiting area where your Sims can just like sit down and wait for their tables, so I added this little bench here in the host area. Then I added a couple of industrial loft kit lights above all the tables so that your Sims can actually see what they're eating. I also thought it would be fun to use these vents from the industrial loft kit above the chef station. And they're not actually functional, so it doesn't really matter. They're just there for decoration. But in real life, it would be helpful to have like these ventilation systems above your chef station, especially if you're having it like right in the middle of your dining room. I also used a hood vent to make it seem like we had a warming light for your Sims food. Just if there's waitresses are busy, they can't get to their food right away, they got this warming light here to keep your food warm and fresh while your Sims are waiting. And then I started working on the kitchen here. I just kind of got a bunch of like cool kitchen decorations, as some aprons and a couple of pots and pans, and then I found these menus from Dine Out, so I put those there, kind of behind the chef station. You can see there's like veggie options and fish options, as well as meat options. And then I added the like City Living coffee tables that have like the flame in them on either side of the build. And then I added some napkins, decorations are going in. I really wanted to keep it pretty simple. I didn't want it to be overwhelmed with like clutter and things like that. But Dine Out actually has really nice curtains, so I end up using those in the main part of the dining room. And then I put the Desert Luxe kit rail covers over the top of them to make them seem a little bit more seamless, as if they were just like opened by the staff of the restaurant. And I used the bubble wall finally. I've been wanting to use this in a build for a really long time. So I put the bubble walls there right by the entrance. And then I just kind of kept it simple over there on the wall. I don't think I really put anything above the fireplace. Maybe a couple of pictures later on, but I don't remember. Then I started working on the kitchen. I was trying to create like a little walk-in space, but it just looked really weird. Like your Sims don't actually have to access the wine cooler or the shelf, but I left it open anyway because it just didn't seem right because this kitchen is very small. And I added a couple more industrial lights in here, as well as like the spice rack from Cool Kitchen and just like a bunch of dine out things, the dishwasher, some pipes from City Living, as well as this like fake drink tray, and some fake pots and pans from, I want to say, the Outdoor Campers kit. Then these spices I had to like alt place onto the shelf because they just were not placing on the shelf. I don't know why, there's like no slot up there. And then I started working on the outside of the build. I was like really struggling because I didn't know how I wanted this to look. Like I put a parking lot in the last build for the karaoke bar, so I didn't know if I wanted to do that again, but I also wanted it to hide the dumpster from Eco Lifestyle. You know, we have to have a woohoo spot when we're out and about in the world. Then I started working on the parking lot out front. I didn't really know where I wanted to put the dumpsters, so I was getting a little frustrated and I just said, you know, I'm just going to move on for right now. I'll figure it out later when I'm landscaping. I use this Strangerville fence, which kind of looks like parking lot space paint, as well as I want to say this Get to Work fence. It's either Get to Work or Werewolves. I'm not entirely sure. And then I was like, I don't know if that's enough parking spaces because this used to be an old factory for fish, so we got to get some more spaces over on the other side too. And I also wanted to put something right there in the middle of the build where you see that like fountain right now. I was searching through debug and I ended up finding like a sculpture, so I put that out front. And just getting a bunch of cars in here now. It doesn't really matter how much space they have, I guess, for cars because they're not going to move anyway. So I just put a bunch of them out here. You know, this is a busy place. Now I'm just working on the dumpster space again. I really wanted it to be out of the view of the window, so I put it over here on the side and created like a little break area for the workers there. And then I started landscaping. I just kind of added a bunch of these bushes right around the sides of the brick building. And then I just like left everything else pretty empty, pretty barren. I kind of tried to match up some of the trees trees and plants that were around the world. These like pink flowers here, and I went around those with like the low-lying yellow flowers, is what I always do. And then I also added a bunch of like debug rocks to them as well. And then I found the sign that I wanted to use for the roof. I sized it down a couple because it was just giant and then centered it on the building. And then I found this sculpture, so I put that out front instead of a fountain. And then I started decorating a little bit more in the kitchen, added a couple of cookbooks in there. I was going to put like some like cherry trees and things around the sides, but I didn't. Your Sims are not going to really go there and pick them. Neither is the restaurant staff, so I just like left it out. And then this is the rocks that I was talking about from debug. I'm just kind of like going around and putting them around the yellow flowers to make it look like they were there before and they just kind of grew into them like a flower bed almost. And then I added a sign from City Living, and then I kind of moved everything around a little bit just so I could extend the sidewalk one more tile around the build because it was looking a little empty and sparse around the outside on the landscaping, and I really didn't want to do a whole lot for landscaping, so I added that piece of sidewalk there. And this right side of the build here was looking a little empty, so I added this little bench and a light here from the base game, as well as like these sitting living lights like all around the build because they don't really fit the world. Like we have these like hooked lights in the actual world, but we don't actually have them as an object that we can use, which is really weird. And I finished this build off by adding a couple of these folding metal chairs from City Living out back just to make it seem like your Sims could take a break here if they were working. But we are nearing the end of this speed build. If you like this video, make sure to show that like button some love because it really helps out. You can find this build and all of my other builds and sims on my gallery at Darth_Jeswick. And if you like this build, make sure to subscribe so that you can see all of my videos when they come out. I hope you have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are in the world, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye everybody.